Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I feel privileged to be able to address the nation on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of the independence of our beloved nation, Trinidad and Tobago. In doing so, I am thrilled to subsume my position of the Leader of the Opposition, Parliamentary Representative for Diego Martin West, and Political Leader of the People's National Movement. As important as these official positions are, I am more than delighted to transcend these temporary titles and address you simply and humbly as one of your fellow citizens, elated and proud of our nation's unparalleled achievements over the past 50 years. It gives me even greater joy when I reflect upon the fact that these are your achievements, the outstanding outcome of the dedication, determination, dexterity, and collective effort, skills, sweat, and tears of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My elation is further justified, convinced as I am, of the vast unused and untapped potential which reside in all of us to continue the challenging but rewarding and exciting journey forward. This unfathomable reservoir of our tested and proven human potential over the past 50 years augurs well for the future. On August 31st, 1962, when our nation's flag was first raised, we felt a sense of tremendous pride in having removed the shackles of colonialism. We also, of course, felt some trepidation as we began a journey into the future, not knowing what the future would bring. But we were invested with hope, hope that the energy and creativity of our people would bring us success, that our leaders and civil society would steer the ship of state wisely and with integrity, with love for one another, regardless of race, color, creed, or geographical origin. Today, I would like you to join me in reflecting on some of what we have achieved so far on our journey as a sovereign nation. Let us ponder collectively on the mood of the nation at the present time. And finally, let us set our sights on the journey that remains to be completed. We must all appreciate that the foundations for the event which occurred at midnight on August 30th, 1962, had been laid in the struggles of our forefathers over previous decades. We must not forget the contributions of Captain Arthur Cipriani, Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler, Adrian Cola Rienzi, Albert Gomes, APT Fargo James, all of whom, in various ways, challenged colonialism and demanded that Trinidadians and Tobagonians have an increasingly greater say in their representation and in charting the course of their lives. Without question, it was the entry of Dr. Eric Williams into the politics of Trinidad and Tobago in 1955 and the PNM's success at the elections in January 1956, which accelerated the drive towards independence and nationhood. Dr. Eric Williams not only founded an enduring political party, the PNM, but as an Oxford-educated historian of international repute, he appreciated that the key to genuine economic independence lay in an educated population. Education of all the people to enhance their skills and knowledge and to increase their capacity for governing themselves was critical to the success of an independent Trinidad and Tobago. He was determined to eradicate the substandard primary schools in which teaching took place and to give all of our nation's children access to secondary education. It was upon the pillar of universal free secondary education that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, pinned our hopes and aspirations for the future growth, social mobility, and development of our beloved country. Free secondary education was the foundation stone upon which the father of the nation, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, staked the future of the country, steadily increasing the number of beneficiaries as new secondary schools were built and the teachers were trained. One of the major offshoots of this policy was the National School Feeding Program. The number of university scholarships was increased as resource permitted. As time went on, we established the UWI Institute of International Relations, the UWI Institute of Social and Economic Research, UWI School of Education, the Cipriani Labor College, now renamed Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperatives, and the University of Trinidad and Tobago. A new nation requires its own institutions of state, since it can no longer rely on the institutions of the former colonial power, Privy Council notwithstanding. We established a range of these institutions, among them the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, issuing our own currency, the Public Service Commission, the Police Service Commission, the Teaching Service Commission. By 1970, we were able to have our first local central bank governor, fellow Tobagonian Victor Bruce, and our first local commissioner of police, also fellow Tobagonian Eustace Bernard. We established the Elections and Boundaries Commission and reduced the voting age from 21 to 18. Since independence, we have held 12 general elections, many of which resulted in peaceful changes of government. The PNM participated fully in every one and emerged victorious in 8. We established our local Court of Appeal, and our first Chief Justice was Hugh Wooding, a distinguished jurist whose tenure set the tone for the outstanding practitioners that this country has produced over the last 50 years, some of whom have gone on to international acclaim. Our judiciary has served us well over the last 50 years, upholding the rule of law, steadfastly maintaining judicial independence and the doctrine of the separation of powers. I thank our judiciary for their dedicated service. Human rights and freedom of the press have been largely upheld by successive governments, and whenever threatened, zealously defended by our citizens. As an independent state, we needed to have the capacity ourselves to defend against external aggression. Our military did not get off to the best start, given the events of 1970, but redeemed its reputation during the attempted coup of 1990. We salute those who have served in our regiment and Coast Guard over the last 50 years and thank them for their dedicated service to Trinidad and Tobago. We took our seat among the community of nations in the assemblies of the United Nations, the Organization of American States, and the Commonwealth. Our leadership role in CARICOM remains the centerpiece of our commitment to regional integration. We have played a significant role in global affairs, along with other Caribbean territories, in establishing the regime for the law of the sea, the ending of apartheid in South Africa, maintaining relationships with the people of Cuba, resolution of the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute, and advocacy in the G24 for a new international economic order. I thank our many distinguished career diplomats for their outstanding service to Trinidad and Tobago and helping us to punch above our weight in international affairs and diplomacy. In the fields of sport and beauty, Hazley Crawford, Wendell Motley, Atto Bolden, George Bovell III, Richard Thompson, and most recently Kishon Walcott are some of the world-class athletes who have brought us Olympic glory. Brian Lara was a colossus in the world of cricket for 2 decades, and the Soca Warriors ensured that ours was the smallest country ever to participate in the World Cup. Janelle Penny-Commission, Wendy Fitzwilliam, and Giselle Laronde brought us tremendous pride with their victories at Miss Universe and Miss World. In March 1968, we were delighted that the Vatican saw it fit to appoint Reverend Anthony Pantin as the first local Roman Catholic Archbishop of Port of Spain. At the time of our independence 50 years ago, our economy was dominated by foreign-owned enterprises. Foreign investment was and remains important for our growth and development. However, as an independent society, we endeavored to have local talent effectively manage and control our economy and other aspects of national life. Moreover, we localized the banking and insurance sectors. Barclays Bank DCO became Republic Bank. Royal Bank of Canada became Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce became Bank of Commerce, and the Bank of London and Montreal became the National Commercial Bank, NCB. We created the Workers' Bank, which was eventually merged with the NCB, and the Trinidad and Tobago Cooperative Bank to form one financial institution, now proudly known as First Citizens Bank. We established the Unit Trust Corporation, the National Insurance Board, and the Home Mortgage Bank to make mortgages more affordable to the less privileged. Foreign-based insurance companies became locally owned and operated, much to the benefit of the national community. We utilized the resources from our oil and gas boom of the 1970s to create the Point Lisas industrial estate and the petrochemical sector, which is now one of the pillars of our economy, hosting both foreign and locally owned world-scale plants, many of which are run by locals who benefited from the expansion of educational opportunities provided by the state. The Point Lisas industrial estate today stands tall as the largest and most diversified petrochemicals-based industrial complex in the Commonwealth Caribbean, exporting methanol, urea, and steel from sites previously covered by sugarcane stalks. Our major export income today comes from LNG as we monetize our natural gas resources. We also appreciated as a nation that we needed to improve the health status of the population if we wanted our citizens to be productive and happy. We built health centers all over the country to promote and expand primary health care services. We constructed the Mount Hope Medical Sciences Complex, modernized healthcare delivery facilities, and provided treatment at all healthcare institutions, free of charge. As in most areas of national development, local professionals took charge of the operations of the utilities, which were mostly in the hands of expatriates. Supply of electricity was centralized and put in the hands of T&Tech. Electricity rates were unified to ensure that Tobagonians no longer paid more per unit for electricity than their counterparts in Trinidad. Tobago, which enjoyed full electrification, now has a natural gas pipeline and electric power generated at Cove Industrial Estate. Similarly, Central Water Distribution Authority, CWDA, became WASA. Bus transport was taken from the shaky hands of disjointed private companies all over the country and placed under National Transit and later PTSC. Internal telephone service was placed in the hands of Telco, now TSTT, and external telecommunications was lifted out of the hands of Cable and Wireless and placed under the authority of Textel. We became owners of BWI, British West Indian Airways, now called Caribbean Airlines, to provide assured air transportation for our citizens.